But let's keep things straight and let's keep things serious for now, because there's a subject that I really think needs to be discussed. And it's based on, essentially, what Jim Ratcliffe has said about the fact that the UK is being colonised, and I would argue empirically it is true, because at the same time that we're all having this argument about whether the UK is being colonised or not, the Green Party has been reported to counter terror police. You've heard that right. It's been reported to counter terror police as it has become a breeding ground for Muslim extremists. Oh, and we're not being colonised at all. Let's speak to the brilliant Momus Najmi, who's a writer and commentator. Momus, how are you doing?
Hi there, I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure and my privilege. First of all, let's start off with the Jim Ratcliffe row. Would you be offended by the idea that UK is being colonised by immigrants? Is it the wrong terminology? Could he have been a little less clumsy? Does it matter? Or indeed, do we have at least some parts of the United Kingdom where this stands the test of truth?
I don't think so. I've ever been offended by reality, so I won't be offended by his comments. I would say, like, maybe it's not being colonized. If people want to, let's play devil's advocates. Maybe it's more to say that UK is being replaced, right? The people of the UK are being replaced because there's no offensive from our government repelling these people coming over here. They're just being let in. So it's sort of like a replacement, which is even worse than colonization. And then what you get is you see these areas, right? Like you go in Southall, you go in Tower Hamlets, you go in, Bradford or whatever other places you go. There are signs in their own languages. It's not one colony, right? It's not one people colonizing, different people from different places colonizing over here, right? And they are just, because the local people have been replaced, they are just, preferring their own in-groups, as everyone does.
And they have, without doubt, some of them, a personal imperative to try to take over, to try to force their agenda, to try to replace our own culture and democracy with the way they think the country should be. Frankly speaking, There are some people in this country who want to see Britain become a caliphate. And they're not just sitting there quietly, going to their radical mosques and having this conversation amongst themselves. Some of them are standing for Parliament. Some of them are winning. And let's talk about a couple of organisations which spring to mind. So first of all, I started trying to dig around last year into the Muslim vote when we suddenly got these 5 pro-Gaza candidates. And back then I learnt that the Muslim vote organisation wanted to stand in at least 98 seats around the country where Labour currently hold power to replace a Labour politician with what they're calling a pro-Gaza candidate. But this isn't a pro-Gaza candidate. We have seen from the 5 pro-Gaza candidates that we already have in Parliament that, as well as banging on about Israel, Palestine and all the rest of it, they want to legalise first cousin marriage. They're starting to push their own cultural agenda in our Parliament. And when you look on the Muslim Vote website, I haven't done this for a while, but the last time I did, some of their affiliated organisations are certain organisations that have raised eyebrows in the past. And I think we need to be asking questions. Who's funding them? What is their provenance? What is their ambition? What is their leadership? Because, as soon as you have an organisation that says, oh, it's nice, we're just trying to make it fair for all communities, Muslims need representation too. No, you don't need a Christian vote. You don't need a Muslim vote. You don't need a Hindu vote. What you need is colour-blind, religious-blind, nationality and race-blind politics that serves the entire nation.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works, to be honest. Like, whichever country you go, people usually vote for their ethnic groups, and that's what we're seeing. Now, I mean, what do they want? I mean, their name is pretty, it gives it away, Muslim vote. Muslim vote for Muslim things, for Muslim reasons, right? But I think so, there's another thing over here to look at as well. It's not just the Muslims, right? Because they are higher in number. They are the most they are the biggest minority group, right? So they will coalesce like that. We also have the problems of, I think so in 2024, there was Sikh code that was put up, right? And then there are other ones as well. So whichever other ethnicity is in higher number, and they are not really encouraged to assimilate, integrate, and there's no, they just, let to coalesce in one, create these parallel communities and stuff. Obviously, the more stronger they grow, they will have in-group preferences, and there might be individuals within that society. Like, I'm not denying that there's a lot of Muslims who don't want that, right? And there's a lot of like ex-Muslims. Obviously, none of the ex-Muslims want that, like myself, who nobody talks about, right? But those individuals don't matter when their community in majority decides to do one thing or the other.
Yeah.
Right, and they just have to go along with it, otherwise they'll be ostracized from their community. And this Muslim vote, because we have to talk about it, because they are the highest in number, they can have the highest impact. What happens when this country goes along with that, like when those people win? They're already not in favor of any British values or any British interest, or not even the trademark British values, right? We're not talking about the actual native values, but not even the trademark corporate values. They're not even for that. So when you even have like few of them, you have 50 of them, they have a pressure group now in Parliament. What happens then? Are you going to go against halal food? Are you going to go against like halal food, not just for religious reasons, but actually for animal rights reasons, right? For any of those things, the burqa, the Sharia courts or anything like that, they will change the country time by time. And I've heard John Barnes say that it's not an invasion because the immigrants are not changing the culture and impacting the economy. I mean, what world is he living in? I mean, are they not impacting the culture? Or like, are we saying we go to Bradford and it's as English as it was 100 years ago?
It's ridiculous. We're being gaslit. I mean, the Muslim vote, I've just pulled up their website. They have come out on social media and said, we wholly endorse the Green Party. We want the Green Party to win seats. And one thing that I've seen in working in domestic politics here is where you've got a large Muslim population, they all vote as one bloc, by and large. The imams will go and get all of the votes for the entire mosque. There also happens to be postal vote fraud a lot of the time. I do think that when people come from these developing world countries where corruption in politics is rife, they bring those particular habits over here. But the Muslim vote have come out and said, we fully endorse the Green Party. We're throwing our weight behind them at the moment. On their website, our goal is simple, it says. This election, this was the previous snap election, this election signals a shift. Muslim issues at the forefront. Muslim issues, not Christian, not British, not everyone. Muslim issues at the forefront. We will no longer tolerate being taken for granted. We are a powerful, united force of 4 million acting in unison. I mean, this to me, this is colonisation. That is exactly what that is.
They're planting their
to
flag.
say.
They're saying they're different. They are differentiating themselves from the British. And then they have the gall to say that they are British Muslims. Like, you're nothing. You're just Muslim because you're saying you're for the Ummah, right? So I just don't understand why people can't see the reality. Like, they are now voting as they also want to vote for, and they don't even come from developing countries. They come from underdeveloped countries, right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of like, this, right? Because you have gone into these countries, that this is how they vote anyways, right? Like, they don't vote independently, most of them. Only the educated ones out of them vote independently in some of the metropolitan cities. They usually vote like that. Someone goes in their village and says, yeah, you're voting for this guy because he owns your village, and they just vote for that. So they're used to that system, and they're not far removed from it because they're very recent arrivals as well, most of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm just digging up some things from the past here, and I then want to move on to the Green Party, because this is going to be, the big sort of final climax of our conversation. But looking at the Muslim Vote website here, they have a page which is showing all of their other associate organisations, all of the other people who back them: Muslim Association of Britain, Muslim Census, MUS, Palestinian Forum in Britain, Prevent Watch, the Muslim Vibe, the Quran Club, Mend being one of them. So looking at Mend, because I recognise that name, this is an article from the 14th of March 2024. Michael Gove has named 5 groups he said would be assessed against a new government definition of extremism, naming 2 groups he said promoted neo-Nazi ideology. And then he talks about how there's been all this infiltration of the pro-Palestine marches. He said the groups promote neo-Nazi ideology, and precisely the type of groups about which we should be concerned. He also named the Muslim Association of Britain. Oh, that was just on that list. Cage and Muslim Engagement and Development. MEND, also on that list, as organisations that give rise to concern for their Islamist views. Islamist, not Muslim, Islamist, political Islam, which wants to see the creation of a caliphate. Now we move on to the fact that the Muslim vote, supported by these organisations, which Michael Gove at one point thought should potentially be prescribed, the Muslim vote supporting the Green Party. And then we learn this. The Green Party has been reported to counter-terror police over anti-Zionist elements as fears grows becoming a breeding ground for extremists. Let us look at the evidence, what is going on and why. Groups in the party are calling for anyone seeking a Jewish state in Palestine to be branded racist. Backed by the Greens for Palestine group, Zionism is Racism motion, calling for the party to declare itself as anti-Zionist and for the deprescription of Palestine actions. It rejects accusations that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitic. Now, here we go. The motion is backed by the party's deputy leader. OK, this isn't just a few, odds and sods in the background there agitating for some radical policies. The party's deputy leader, Mohsin Ali, and I quote the Daily Mail on this, effectively calls for Israel to be replaced by a single democratic Palestinian state.
Of course they will.
In all of historic Palestine, with Jerusalem as its capital. A campaign post for the motion depicts a map of the state of Israel painted in the colours of the Palestine flag. What is that? That is from the river to the sea. It is the eradication of Israel. This is not funny. The Green Party are really swelling in the polls. The BBC will stick that buck-toothed, gap-faced idiot Polanski on anything as if he's just some nice, benign, benevolent, fun little gay guy who likes going down Heaven nightclub and says, whatever he says. Doesn't ever talk about climate change, that's for sure. No, they're dangerous. They're backed by Islamists. They contain Islamists. They've been reported to counter-terror police. And then all of a sudden the Prime Minister, instead of going, right, we need to be looking at the Green Party. These are a big electoral threat to us. We do have an issue in this country. We've seen it with what happened with West Midlands Police. No. When someone points out about colonisation, which is what this is, instead he turns around and tries to close the argument down. The Green Party terrify me. Terrify me.
And this is the Red and Green Alliance that many have been warning about, I've been warning about, many other people have been warning about. They're seen the weakest organization on the communist side which can gain some traction, and they've taken over. When was the last time Green Party ever talked about environmental issues or stuff? They're completely gone. What were people thinking when their the deputy leader, when he won his seat or whatever, he shouted Allahu Akbar? What do you think this party was going to be? Obviously, the Green Party is now the Muslim party, right? And you will see people leaving Labour to go to that party more and more. And I don't think so. I would be surprised if they actually replace Polanski with not with Mohsin Ali, but with some other Muslim guy, right? Maybe from Labour Party. You might actually see one of the independent Muslim MPs or someone, getting into Green Party. We're not that far off.
I think as well, I think people in the Green Party need to look up the word taqiyya. You might be able to help explain that a bit more. Because at the end of the day, Mohsin Ali doesn't want to go to Heaven nightclub and hang around with sweaty men wearing chaps. No, he'd throw them, well, I don't know what he'd do. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. Yeah. But I doubt very much that is his idea of a good night out. But the problem is, I believe that the Islamists will happily use the Green Party as a vehicle, thinking it looks benign and benevolent and nice and can get them even more votes because it looks progressive and modern, because it basically is an inversion of the truth, because it creates a smoke and mirror disguise for them. And they will deploy taqiyya, essentially lying, hiding their real selves, the truth, for political expedience. Meanwhile, the Green Party will think if we can get the Muslim vote, because they vote as one big voting bloc, they will help advance our own interests. They're very strange bedfellows, but they...
Alex, they don't even have to lie. That's the whole thing. Because our Labour Party and other parties, they are doing it for them. We are being gaslit by the people who should be protecting us, is doing it for them. They might not even use Green Party as a vehicle, right? They might abandon the Green Party. They just want to use the Green Party to destroy Labour. Once Labour is destroyed, the Muslim votes are up for grabs, and that's what they want. Then you you will see a proper Muslim party come up. There might be a new Muslim party and will grab all their votes, right? Because they know they are playing the long game. 1 or 2 generations down the line, they will be the biggest population, because none of our parties are serious about solving this issue, because we're too afraid of words. Jim Ratcliffe came up, and he's Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right? If he can be cowed within a day, go from hero to zero in one day and apologize for it, right? What signal does that send? He doesn't even live here. He can't even have a backbone. I think so. Find the backbone.
Oh, we lost you there, Momus, but you were making such an important point. If they can use someone like Sir Jim Ratcliffe to be their scalp, to be the sort of straw man that they can push over, to serve as a warning to the rest of us, that is what they are doing. They're wicked.